Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for the full moon in Cancer, and depending on where you live, it's going to be either the 17th or the 18th of January 2022. So basically, if you live in North America, probably South America, I don't know what the time zone difference is, but I know in North America, it will definitely be on the 17th, and probably a lot of places in Europe. If you live down under in Asia, it'll be the 18th. So, in that time frame. And this is going to be at 27 degrees of Cancer. At every full moon, the sun is in direct opposition in the same degree. So we're talking about 27 degrees of Capricorn, which means that the sun is going to be in conjunction with Pluto. Wow, just wow, because Pluto is at 26 Capricorn. So I think this is going to be very powerful. As a matter of fact, I woke up this morning and I'm recording this on the 13th of January, and I was all keyed up, and I actually woke up at 4 in the morning, and that was quite unusual because I went to bed at like 10 last night, and typically I wouldn't do something like that with that little amount of sleep. But yeah, I think that the energy is building, and it's going to be a big deal. The United States is a Cancerian country. So, and this is a later degree of Cancer. So there's that, I think the impact of kind of something that has been building up and something that has to give. It just really feels that way. And in looking at some of these aspects, as I stated, the sun is going to be in conjunction with Pluto, and that is very, very powerful. That is being self-empowered. So as I look at some of these other placements, we have Mercury in Aquarius, which is almost like telepathy. And Aquarius and its ruler, Uranus, are connected to technology. So with Mercury in Aquarius, it's like news or ideas can reach other people at the speed of light or whatever. So if there is something coming out, because a lot of times full moons can bring out secrets, it can be delivered through the internet. But remember that we have a Mercury retrograde that has just gotten underway. So Mercury is actually retrograding at this point. So I am really hoping that we do not have any kind of a media blackout, or an internet blackout, I should say. Because that's something that I always think about. If there are things coming out, that would be the time when the internet would just suddenly go down by accident. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, We have Venus in Capricorn and Mars in Sagittarius. So Venus can also speak of the monetary systems. And in Capricorn, we already have this transit of Pluto in Capricorn, which has affected things like that, like the monetary systems. Everything is breaking down, the government, all of these systems. But as it relates to money, so you think about that, and you think about, also for people who are relying on their debit cards, or, to transfer money or take out money. So I don't want to put that out in the universe, but by the same token, I'm just looking at what is going on here and what could happen if it reached some kind of a crisis point. Because we're looking at this as the collective, not an individual's chart. So in looking at it that way, I think about what could be done to create chaos, to distract from revelations that might come out. And believe me, I'm well aware of other predictions that haven't come to pass. I remember I was listening in December and it was like, oh, wow, this is going to be the most amazing, and even things that I have said that haven't come true. And personally, I'm not really that much of a predictive astrologer. I mean, that's not my main interest or belief system. I'm doing this because I want to see what the themes are. And if you view it that way, it's to me a lot more self-empowered than just saying, okay, what's going to happen? Because really, I think there are different timelines. I said timelines. There are different timelines, and I think there's free will that alters these possibilities. So we have to look at things from that perspective as well. Mars in Sagittarius is very rebellious, but it's coming from truth. It's seeking truth, and it is embodying truth. And so it's kind of that righteous indignation, because, Mars can be one's anger level and how they're expressing anger that is coming from, how dare you, this is the truth, this has come out, and I refuse to cooperate with you anymore. All fire energy is about individuality. And with Sag, we're talking about seeking the truth, expressing the truth. And in this case, with Mars, it's almost like what came into my mind is pray and get your feet moving. It's not theoretical like the mind, like Mercury. It's really on the streets, if you will, like feeling that desire to be very active about things. And, it's interesting. It's kind of like a battle of the old versus the new, because the Capricorn Cancer energy is more from the traditional, the established, and the Sagittarius and Aquarius energy is anti-establishment. Looking at the aspects, one of the things that strikes me is that we have Mars square Neptune. And so that's always very dangerous, to act on an illusion that Neptune could be all about, because I just feel like there is so much deception going on that we are being given by these institutions. And people, I've been reading people that are saying, wait a second, I'm experiencing this, and yet I'm being told that. And there's like cognitive dissonance is setting in, where things are not adding up. And these are people who believed everything they were told. So I'm not talking about people that consider themselves outside of the matrix. I'm talking about people who are still in that matrix, and always did as they're told, believed everything that they were told. Now starting to go, this makes no sense. I'm experiencing something completely different than what they told me. And that is the first step of awakening, as far as I'm concerned, because when you experience something yourself, that, brings it home all the more than when you're listening to other people. It's very hard to, it's just, I think it's human nature to find it hard to really relate to others until you experience what they've experienced. And with Neptune in Pisces for the last decade, this has just gotten increasingly worse in terms of the deception. But the truth is that that lies can only last for so long, and then the truth comes out. And I think as Pluto ends its cycle in Capricorn, it's like the pied de resistance, and I don't even know what that means. I think I actually misused it because it's supposed to be, I was assuming it was like the final gasp, but it's actually something that is very good. But this is the end of that Pluto cycle, because Pluto's going into Aquarius in 2023, and here we are in 2022. So I'm sure it will dip back into Capricorn after that, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's going to be leaving, and I, for one, am looking forward to it. But everything kind of comes to that head, just like this full moon being in one of the last degrees of Cancer, and thinking about the United States, and thinking about the last stages of the old system or the old country. And yes, I am an American. I'm not trying to be self-centered as an American, but I have heard more than one psychic energy reader say, where goes America, the rest of the world will follow. And I believe that, because there's a lot of clues to suggest that the United States is kind of the template for the Great Awakening of the world, and all of the things that have been happening in the last couple of years have really hastened this awakening. And because, the United States is such a large country, it's very populous, that just is also a big part of that as well, where it's very influential on multiple levels. So in any case, I'm building this up here, and we'll see if that manifests. But one of the things that I am concerned about is the opposition between the moon and Pluto, because this can indicate extremes in emotion. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, if somebody has this in their natal chart, sometimes this could indicate bipolar. And of course, people just pounce on that. Oh, you're diagnosing people. No, I'm not. I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm just I'm parroting what I have heard or read. And basically, if you get past the clinical definition of bipolar, what I'm really talking about are two extremes. And so if you have the sun in conjunction with Pluto, and so people may have God complexes, and then you have this opposition, there could be a lot of emotional instability at this time, which, a full moon, after all, that always is the case, emotional instability. It's in a water sign, and then on top of that, you have the sun in conjunction with Pluto, so people that feel like they are untouchable. But on the positive side, that sun in conjunction with Pluto can be really, knowing yourself for the first time, perhaps, for some people, because they have been deceived so long that they finally realize what is going on in their own life. So if you have the sun at a late degree of Capricorn or Cancer, this, and also the rising sign, this could be affecting that seventh house of relationships. Or, if you just are a sun in Cancer or Capricorn, and or a rising sign with those two signs, this could be affecting your first and seventh houses. And that could, with the Pluto energy, that could be something where a person just has enough and they're done. You know what I mean? Because they realize that they are more powerful than they thought, and they're no longer going to put up with nonsense. So, pay attention to that. And I definitely feel like you should not act in emotion. Sagittarius is very passionate, and it's also, all fire signs can be very impulsive. So that's what you don't want, because we have the Neptune in Pisces, and it's just idealistic, but it can be deceptive on the flip side. And we don't want to do things that are diluted. We want to know exactly why we're doing what we're doing. We don't want a virtue signal. We don't want to do any of that stuff. Let's see what else. Mercury is in conjunction with Saturn, so that enhances the, even though it's in Aquarius though. But, that's important that it's in Aquarius, because people may be thinking in terms of the long haul. Like, what is it that we want to manifest for the next generation? Not just for us in this moment in a selfish kind of way, but for everyone, for the collective. And that can actually be quite good. I was thinking in terms of it being a conjunction with Saturn as being kind of negative. But because it's in Aquarius, it's I think that it's more about establishing future freedoms, and that can be very important. And one thing that is good is that it is on the 17th is on a Monday. And if this is the 18th for you, it's a Tuesday. So it's not like on the weekend where people are already off. A lot of people are off, and they can, go crazy without much effort, or they might always go crazy on the weekends. I don't know. So at least this is at the beginning of the week. So maybe that will restrain some people. I don't know. But if something comes out, some kind of like secret or some kind of development about some of the investigations or the, whatever's going on in terms of world affairs, that could be like a domino effect where one thing falls and then there are other truths that come out too, or to counter that truth, there are distractions that come in to keep people's minds off of it. And so we have to keep our eyes on the prize. And I think Mercury in conjunction with Saturn can do just that, of like, don't allow any distractions to keep you off your game. And the game is truth. Mars is the driving force, and it's in Sagittarius, and freedom. And, people have made freedom a political issue. Oh, you must believe in this. I mean, that's crazy. Freedom is our birthright. And there's that quote from Harriet Tubman, and they're saying that she didn't actually say this, or some kind of disagreement that she actually said this. But when I was a kid, I was fascinated by her because she helped with the Underground Railroad. She was actually an escaped slave herself. And I had a biography of her when I was a kid, and I just I bet I read that so many times, and I know I read it many times. There's something about it. So maybe I have a past life connection with her in some way. But in any case, there's some quote where she said, I freed 1,000 slaves and I could have freed 1,000 more if only they had known they were slaves. And they said she never said that. Now, hopefully she did say it, because it's a very powerful statement for a former slave to make. And I believe that she said that, because it's true. I mean, and let's just say she said it in an alternate universe. There are some people that don't realize that they are in subjugation, and so they can't leave it, and they might even fight for their slavery because they just don't realize that there's an alternative. So I think freedom is the name of the game here. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated and inspired you, and that you have an amazing full moon in Cancer. Take care. Bye.